So hello and welcome back to another week of exploring Outland with Beryl and her sister Onyx. We're going to actually be starting with Onyx today as we explore Blades Edge Mountains. So Blades Edge Mountains is kind of interesting because depending on if you're Horde or Alliance, you actually enter it in two different spots. If you're Horde, you're going to be entering it just to the north of the Dead Marsh, and if you're Alliance, you're going to enter it through the Broken Town, kind of in the central area. So Blades Edge Mountains, and as always, I'm pulling heavily from Wowhead and Wowopedia because, you know, you gotta love resources. But Blades Edge Mountains was an area that was once a combination of Frostfire Ridge and Gorgrond when this whole area was Draenor. And it's north of Zangarmarsh, west of the Netherstorm, and it's notable for a large population of Ogres and Gron. So that's a lot of what you're going to see as we go through here. It's also interesting that no matter which tunnel you go through, you get the spider killing quest. So if you have arachnophobia, maybe just fly over top. So it's really interesting, the whole history of the Blades Edge Mountains, because it was actually Gorgrond and Frostfire Ridge which got merged together when Draenor shattered. So I thought that was kind of interesting to learn. Also, I found out that the Blades Edge Mountain was originally in Frostfire Ridge. And when the actual Orcish horde from our world came to Outland, they're actually the ones who brought their riding wolves, who are under the care of Rima, the Den Mother. So I'm guessing that these wolves were not present back when our horde came through. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So the first area that we are going to go to is the Thunderlord Stronghold. And that is a horde town here in the Blades Edge Mountains. It was the stronghold of the Thunderlord clan until they were transformed into Fell Orcs, after which the town was abandoned. Later on, the Bladespire Ogres took over the ruins, but they were driven out when our Horde expeditionary forces came in and drove them out and named it in honor of the original clan. After the opening of the Dark Portal, somebody that we're all familiar with, at least as far as WoW lore goes, Rexxar traveled here in search of his own race. And Rexxar is a cool character. Like, Rexxar, he is a champion of the Horde. He is half ogre and half orc, and it's said that he is a beast mastery hunter. Although, interestingly enough, he wields axes, which I didn't think beast mastery normally went in for melee. I thought that was more of a survival hunter, but you know what? NPCs can do whatever they want. Due to Rexxar's mixed heritage, he is far bigger than an ordinary orc, and he is always seen with his loyal bear companion Misha. Another interesting thing is you can see an old orc town hall here at the center of the stronghold, and it's protected by several Moghar watchtowers. The orcs from Azeroth, like I said, brought a large pack of the dire wolves who are settled there under the leadership of the Den Master Rima. And Rima, I don't know if there's much about her. She is the Den Mother of the wolves here in the Blades Edge Mountain. And you can fight her if you are Alliance, but she can only be tamed by Alliance hunters, unless they've patched that. So I thought that was kind of neat. Also, I do really like a lot of the orc architecture. I just wish that World of Warcraft would start furnishing it a little bit better, and maybe that's just a me thing. Maybe orcs really just don't like furniture, but it just doesn't look comfortable. Like, nothing in the Horde areas look comfortable. Alright, so this is Dragon's End. It is a cleft that leads from the Daggermaw Canyon up to the Cursed Hollow in the center of Blade's Edge. It's been named for the 4 giant black dragons that I was a little obsessed with zooming in on because they're really detailed. But yeah, they have been impaled on the jagged peaks of Blade's Edge, presumably by Gron. So, interesting. A little bit creepy, but a little bit interesting, you know? Now right here, and this is a really interesting thing because Onyx is not, she hasn't completed the Outland at all. Beryl, when we come back with her, you'll see all of these ogres are friendly to Beryl. Obviously, they're all hostile to Onyx because she hasn't done that quest chain, but it's a really fun quest chain that culminates with you becoming king or queen of the ogres. And just like in Dire Maul, like, they will dance for you, they bow down to you. If you haven't done the quest chain, it's sometimes a little bit buggy and glitchy, but it is so much fun, and I highly suggest that you go ahead and do it. But yeah, the ogres are just kind of everywhere. So another thing that is just kind of everywhere is the Legion. And this is one of their little areas. This is Death's Door. It is located between the Jagged Ridge and the Vecnar Stand. And it's the location of one of the dimensional gateways that the Burning Legion used to bring demons in from the Twisting Nether. Now, Illidan actually sent his forces to close all of the other portals in Outland, which cut off the flow of demons and ended a little bit of the extra stress on Outland. But this gateway is still partially functional. It is slowly bringing in Wrathhounds as reinforcements for the Legion. So you actually pick up a quest chain that starts in Evergrove to help close that particular portal. There we see some more of the orcs who don't like Onyx very much, as we are up here on the Razor Ridge, which is a little area crawling with Ravagers. Always fun. Now we're going to drop down into the Cursed Hollow. It's just the home of a Gron whose name is Grullock. And Grullock is one of the 7 sons of Gruul the Dragon Killer. And Grullock spends all of his time guarding a bag that nobody knows what's inside it there in Cursed Hollow. Now, Evergrove is really cool. Like, there isn't a lot of write-up about it, even though I spend a lot of time walking around here, so we'll probably talk about a little bit of that. But it is a Cenarian expedition outpost, just kind of like the ones out there in Zanger Marsh. But it's unique in that it's manned almost entirely by night elves. But since it is Cenarian expedition, your Horde players can come here and not get attacked, which is always kind of nice. And if you know anything about me, you know that I am obsessed with finding houses, since Blizzard has not seen fit to give us player housing. And this is a very nice, empty, night elven house that is accessible to Horde players as well. So, there you go. If you ever wanted your own cute little night elf house, even if you're an orc, you can have one here in Evergrove. And like I said, until Blizzard actually gives us player housing, that's always been one of my big obsessions, just kind of running around the game and trying to find houses. And speaking of finding houses, obviously that also extends to whenever I play The Sims. I like building houses. What can I say? I guess I have a house fetish. I don't know. I do like, in a way, this graveyard here in Evergrove. It's a little bit creepy. I think that might be why I like it. The gravestones, the ones with the skeletons on them are creepy, but the super creepy part are the screaming stumps. I don't know why Blizzard made those, but I kind of like that they're there, but they're still very, very creepy. Now there's a lot of nymphs in this area, and I feel like they're a little bit less empty-headed than some of them in the old world, but maybe not. Now this is the inn, also accessible. If you don't mind having an innkeeper staying with you, you could also claim the inn as your house. Also, I just really love Wild Lord Antlarion, who's just being followed around by this little girl, Natasha. I can't remember why she's following him around, but I just find it really, really cute. I don't know. Alright, so I'm going to get a little bit lost here as we go, but that's okay because the next area that we're going to is actually, I feel like, one of the coolest areas in Outland, and that is Mok'Nathal Village. And that is actually Rexar's home, so that's kind of cool. And Mok'Nathal Village is a fairly small settlement. Honestly, it kind of looks like it's had a few attacks on it. And it's here in the eastern Blades Edge Mountains. And the Mok'Nathal are an entire clan of ogres, orcs, and half-ogres. They all have the Moghar hue to their skin, so they're all kind of that brownish color. And they all wear really distinctive armor. It's kind of cool. And it's actually, the village is guarded by a lot of the Mok'Nathal hunters, and it includes some notable characters, such as Leorox. Now, Leorox is Rexar's father, and the leader of the Mok'Nathal, and they're actually pretty pacifistic. Also, I love this hunter and his dog. Like, I don't know if there's any lore behind that particular hunter, but his dog is awesome. But yeah, anyway, back to Lorax. Rexar joined the Horde against the wishes of his father, and Rexar's dad disowned him. And for 30 years, he has remained stubbornly against his son, even after Rexar has returned to Outland, searching for his people. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit about Rexar's dad. You know, we definitely have some definite daddy issues there. Now, it's also interesting that there's a bunch of tame cleft hoofs and tame boars that are just kind of like chilling. They're just walking around the village. So this right here, we'll focus in really quick. That is Leorox. That is Rexar's papa. He's huge. Like, just looking at him, I know every NPC is actually larger than any of our player characters, but he's huge. It also seems like he's changed his mind a little bit on the pacifism, although I'm not entirely sure. And I found these guys, I thought they were pretty cool. This is Spirit Caller Drogar, who's like puzzled by what you see. We give praise to the spirits of our ancestors by keeping the flame burning bright. And if you stand here long enough watching the spirit callers, they will actually stand up and kind of almost start to dance a little bit. It's kind of interesting to watch. But I decided I should get moving on here. So we'll just tour around a little bit. The one thing I did find interesting, and I can't remember if I zoomed in on it or not, is that cage that's in the middle of the watchtower has what looks like some dead humans in it. I mean, they're skeletons, but they are, I mean, obviously if you're a skeleton, you are definitely dead. Alright, now we're going to end this with a little bit of fun, mostly because why not? It's been a while since I've done it, and Onyx is going to go through and do Gruul's Lair, which is the raid. It's a really tiny raid. Literally, it's a 2-boss raid. And you have the High King Mulganar, who is your first little boss here in the raid. He is an ogre lord of the Ogres of Blade's Edge Mountain, ruling from within Gruul's Lair. His council consists of Kilgur the Crazed, Blind Eye the Seer, Olm the Summoner, and Krosh Firehand. The only one you really have to watch out for is that Kilgur the Crazed, and that only because he could potentially polymorph you. Like if you're just kind of hanging out and not really paying much attention to what's going on, you might end up polymorphed. I've done it before. And then we have Gruul the Dragon Killer. And I don't want to, I was going to say, I want to see his biography here. So Gruul the Dragon Killer is the Grand Overlord of all the Ogres of Outland. He ruled with an iron fist. He earned his name of Dragon Killer and the hatred of Sibelian after he slaughtered a ton of the Black Dragonflight who had come to Outland in order to aid the Horde of Draenor. Gruul was worshipped as a deity by the Ogres of the Blade's Edge Mountain, and his powerful sons ravaged both the Blade's Edge Mountains and the plains in the ground. Gruul's unparalleled strength, which didn't hold up against Onyx because of leveling, it would have posed a serious threat if he would have ever chosen to attack the Horde or Alliance, but he didn't really. He just kind of holed up in his lair, and supposedly he also aided the Illidari. So now we're going to move on, and we are going to go and see what in the world Beryl is doing. So Beryl's just over here hanging out in Ore Arbor Harborage, hanging out on that really cool looking fountain. Honestly, I thought it was really neat looking, so I thought that was a good spot to start from. And that is where the Alliance enter the Blade's Edge Mountains from. Now, kind of like the Horde, you're going to go and you're going to kill a bunch of spiders. They're kind of everywhere. The one thing I thought was neat is there's just kind of bats flying around in this cavern, and I don't know if I noticed bats in the Horde cavern. I don't think I did. But from there you exit into the Living Grove, which is really cool. You've got hostile stuff, but you also have these really cute Fey dragons, which are just kind of flapping around, minding their own business, as you go in on your way to Sylvanar. And Sylvanar is a night elf settlement here in the Blade's Edge Mountains, located in the Living Grove, and it has a couple of houses. Like I said, it's kind of my obsession. It's got a couple of houses here. It's got an inn, it's got your flight master, it's got a bunch of different questing little bits. You end up dealing a lot with the Arakoa, who are something I didn't actually even touch on in this video. But yeah, there are kind of Arakoa all over the Blade's Edge Mountains. You have to deal with them. But this is one of my very favorite houses in Outland. I know it looks pretty much the same as the one over in in the neutral zone, but I really like this house. I think it's very, very pretty. There's also, if house living is not for you, there's actually a night elf apartment here, which is extremely cool. There's also 2 moon wells here, so if you need to make moon cloth, this is a good place to do it. As far as I know, moon cloth and stuff like that, you are still required to make those at a moon well. So keep that in mind if there's any of the old recipes that you want to do that you need moon cloth for, you actually have to find a moon well. Those are not too hard to find. But yeah, at the top of this building where Commander Sky Shadow is guarding, there is a night elf apartment. And there's a couple of those in the game. I know of one other one that's in Feathermoon Stronghold in Kalimdor, but this one's in Outland, and I think it's kind of neat. I actually have one character who has claimed this place as her home, because why not, you know? It's just a really chill place. So yeah, I wouldn't mind this in real life. I mean, hey, you got Windows 360, nice little bed, you got a changing area behind a cool looking screen, and all the books that a girl could want, which IRL Christine wants all the books, so, you know. But then you can go down here, there's an inn. Interesting inn because it actually has no beds. I went up to check it out and I was like, yeah, there is not a bed in this inn. There's kind of a bathtub with some candles floating in it, but no actual beds in this inn. Oh wait, that might have been a bed over in the corner. I might have to go back and look now. But yeah, it's your basic area. So now we're going to head down and I'm going to show you the difference if you're actually the queen of the ogres. And it's kind of funny because even if you're the queen of the ogres or king of the ogres, even though they won't attack you, you can kill them, and it's kind of funny because they say the funniest things when you kill them. Like this one, he's like, me am dead. I'm like, oh yeah, you are. I think there's about 6 different things that they can say. And he says, puny void elf, you were a horrible queen. So rude. I don't think I got everyone. There is one death rattle that's me go to Ogre Law. Queen Beryl Shrike. Me die now. I just think it's funny, although I do eventually start to feel bad for killing my loyal subjects, and I stop killing them. I killed them for a little while, trying to see if I could get the comments about Ogre Law, but I didn't. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. After you complete the quest chain, you can do anything you want down here and not get attacked. I mean, granted, if you're max level, being attacked is no big deal, but it's just kind of nice to hang out with my ogre buddies, you know? Can't help it. Also, when you go over here to the Circle of Blood and talk to the ogre mage who is at the top of the circle, he actually has something different to say to you if you are friendly. He says, you must have wondered how it is that I can speak so clearly for an ogre. It's a side effect of the crystals that grow on the terraces around Ogre Law. The ogres gifted me with this staff, and its crystal in turn gifted me mentally. It's through your continued actions at Ogre Law up above that I hope to one day be able to bring this boon to all my ogre brethren. You have my thanks, my queen, for all you have done. And with that, let's head up and check out Ogre Law. Now, Ogre Law is kind of due east of the circle. I always feel like it should be north, and so I always end up going the wrong way. and opening up the map and then looking again and being like, no, I am actually going the right way. Now, one thing that I didn't really touch on is how many black dragons and how many Burning Legion troops are actually scattered all over the Bladespire Mountains. And there's a lot of Legion troops, and they have a bunch of their forge camps up here. And there's actually one right here. And no matter what your level is, if you head in, they will start shooting at you. And they can actually hit you even at max level. So as you can see, I kind of got bombed with a little bit of Fellfire. It's fun. Fellfire is good for you, I think. So we're going to head into Ogrelaw. Now, this right here is kind of like a Simon Says memory game, and it's how you get the Apexis crystals, which are the currency up here in Ogrelaw. I've never made it to Exalted with Ogrelaw. I am terrible at the memory game, but I do kind of like hanging out here. I like Kronk. I don't think that he's a reference to the Emperor's New Groove, but he might be. You never know. But you've got Kronk, and you've got Chulahor or Chualor. I'm terrible with names. You've got all of the sons of Kronk, and they give you all sorts of quests. You've got dailies up here, mostly just getting these Apexis crystals. There's also a Skyguard outpost up here of the Shatari Skyguard. You can get quests here once you start earning reputation with them, and you can earn rep all the way through to Exalted, which is something I need to do because they have even more mounts. And there's also a couple of black dragons up here that you have to watch out for. And if you have enough Apexis crystals, you can even summon a female black dragon down to attack you. This is Obsidia's Perch, and if you try to open her egg, it says, "It appears resilient, as an egg of the black dragon flight rightfully should. Perhaps if you were to place a lot of Apexis shards next to it, their vibrations would crack it open. Unfortunately, you don't have the 35 Apexis shards needed to open it." Also, there's I think Obsidia, I think she was keeping prisoners and possibly forgot to feed them. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that could be what it was. Alright, now we're going to head to our last area, which is Toshley Station, but before we go up there, we're going to visit with R3DO, the Toshley Station remote sentry who is definitely based on R2-D2 and C-3PO. He says, "I am fluent in over 2 languages, Dwarvish, Gnomish, and the very common tongue of humans. But I have no idea what you're saying. Speak up. I cannot hear you over the grinding of my gears. Warning, warning. Away, hostile beings. Do not head up the ridge to Toshley Station." Ha. Well, little does he know, that's where we're headed right now. I just think he's honestly hilarious. So, Toshley Station is a gnome-run alliance settlement in the Blade's Edge Mountain. This is where gnomes perform their craziest experiments. It's managed by Toshley, and it was the only known in-game town until Fizzcrank Airstrip in the Borean Tundra was added. So that's interesting, and you don't really see too many gnome towns, which is sad because I think gnome towns are adorable. But apparently the gnomes here at Toshley Station used to reside in Sylvanar, until the Night Elves there sent them away because they didn't like the interference of the gnomes' machines and experiments on all the efforts of the Night Elves in becoming one with nature. Now Toshley Station has an inn, a flight point, and this tiny little cemetery with a Cogblade Raptor running around in it. If you have gnomish engineering, you can also get a teleport to here, using the ultra-safe transporter to Tashley Station. So I thought that was kind of funny. But if you're a Horde player, you'll actually teleport a decent distance away from Tashley Station, which allows you to not aggro the guards, which is kind of nice. Now, the big thing in the middle is the Zephyrium Capacitorium. It's a device that players can repeatedly access after you do the opening quests from it. It throws you up into the air and then lets you glide to nearby locations, including Evergrove, Razan's Landing, and the Singing Ridge. And I have no idea why the music went up so loud when I went into the inn, but it did it anytime I went into a gnomish building. It was like, I'm just going to go to max level on that. So I thought that was kind of fun. Also, the gnomes here are just funny. Like, if you ever are bored and in need of a smile, come talk to these gnomes, because they're pretty darn funny. Also, there is a chance of dying when you get flung into the air by the transporter, or at least losing half, if not more, of your health bar. You don't always get a glider or a parachute, which is just terrible. I just really like the gnomes. I think that they're cute. I think that they're a fun addition to World of Warcraft, even if I don't love always playing one, because I don't like the super short or super tall characters. But there is the man that is Tashley himself. Oh, by the way, all of the guards and Tashley are carrying core marksman's rifles. So that's always kind of fun. But yeah, he's got a little bit of an attitude. He's kind of dressed up a little bit like Darth Vader, even though he would definitely be a Darth Small and not a Darth Maul. But yeah, hopefully the music won't go up too loud. Oh, but there it is. As we go into a building, suddenly... This music always kind of reminds me of, like, heist music. I kind of like that. Also, I love the itty-bitty, teeny-tiny little gnome beds that, for anybody that's not a gnome, are basically just a nice armchair, you know? But yeah, next week we are going to be visiting the Netherstorm, another really big area that's got all sorts of cool stuff. Sorry I didn't talk about the Arakoa. I kind of forgot that they were even here. Also, there's a fairly large population of ethereals here. Like, there's just a lot going on. But next week, we're going to be bouncing on over to the Netherstorm and checking that out. But until then, from me and Onyx and Beryl, and, you know, all the residents of Tashley Station, thanks for watching. Leave me a thumbs up if you don't mind, and I will see you next time. Say goodbye, Beryl. She's like, no, I'm not going to say goodbye. All right, goodbye.